Good afternoon to you all. Welcome to our study sixth session, which is on the approaches to conflict management. This session has learning outcomes that you as student or you as a student, you are expected to list the approaches to conflict management. Two, explain how they apply to various conflict situations. So these are the learning outcomes that you're expected to do at the end of this study session. You should be able to list the various approaches to conflict management that are there. And two, you should be able to explain how can these approaches be applied to the various conflict situations that may arise as the case may be, either in our various clauses in our or in the organization that we may be tomorrow, or even in our relationship, in our family, in anything, because conflict doesn't really necessarily mean it must happen only in our organization. It can also happen within and outside. It means that the conflict can happen even within an individual. That's just like we have what is called intra and we have inter conflict. So intra conflict is a conflict that happens within an individual. So in an event whereby it happens, what are the approach that you can actually use to overcome such conflicts in a real life situation? Those are the things that we'll be looking at and we are expected to do at the end of this study session. But well, an introduction, we are expected to become familiar with the various approaches to conflict management as well as appreciate their strengths and weaknesses and possibilities in various conflicts. So it's expected at the end of the day we should be able to look at how the various approach, their various strengths, their advantages and disadvantages, and the various solution, the way forward on how we can actually work on the various approaches to conflict management. So the first approach to conflict management is judicial approach. Judicial approach. By judicial approach, conflict parties are always wary to take the judiciary approach because of its unpredictable outcome. The judicial approach is essentially a statement of dispute by litigation. You know, many people they felt that, like we all know, they said judiciary is the last hope of a common man. So some people felt that when they are in conflict, the best way to approach or to get justice to whatever injustice that is unleashed on them is to approach the judiciary. So what we are saying, let's say that if you, of course, you know that you have all it takes to challenge any injustice that's been done against you, is to approach the judiciary so that and that can always happen through the help of a lawyer, so that your case you can get justice at the end of the day. So what we are trying to do, we're trying to look at the various approach, the strategies that you could apply in any situation you find yourself. Because it is not always good that when you are feel cheated, you sit there and begin to cry and cry. But the judiciary is always there for you to report your matter and get justice for yourself at the end of the day. Then the second approach is the power politics approach. This is a situation in which the third party takes the initiative to manage a conflict out of concern, personal that bordering on realizing its own broader strategy interest rather than the interest of the parties to conflict. So what this simply means is that in every conflict, we cannot expect all the two parties to lose or to win. One will always take the other part that is more comfortable for himself. In an event whereby two people are involved in any conflict, there's always a need for one to play politics and to use the strength that he or she have to achieve his or her own target at the end of the day. Because the truth remains that when you are in conflict with somebody and you think that when you report a matter to the third party, you will get justice. Sometimes it may not really happen. So what you need to do is to use your common sense and tell the other person maybe that you are sorry for what you have done to him or her, so that at the end of the day you can actually get justice at the end of the day. You know, then the next thing is the consideration, the conciliation, no, conciliatory approach. Conciliatory approach. This approach involves a process in which the third party tries to bring the parties in conflict to agreement through improving communication between them, helping them interpret the issue that divide them, and exploring avenue to toward a peaceful statement. This kind of well, this has come from the word reconciliation. Reconciliation is all about bringing the party that are involved in the conflict, letting them know the needs to agree, to let go of their differences, and to moving forward. But in doing that, he will hit that such the third party will have to explain some certain things that will change their perceptions on each other concerning what they actually happens to each other. Then the next thing we look at is the applications of various conflict approach in the Nigeria context. Now, I mean the context of Nigeria. What are the approaches that we can actually use when conflict arises? One is the applications of the judicial approach to Nigeria situation. The Nigerian judiciary is responsible for upholding and protecting the fundamental rights of citizens as enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution. This includes rights such as the right to fair trial, freedom of speech, and protection against discrimination. So these are in applications when conflict arises. Some of the things that the judiciary has actually approach has actually helped is to ensure that there is a fair hearing or fair trial, is to ensure that there is a freedom of speech. A person who is involved in such conflict should have a right to speak for himself or through the help of a lawyer, and also to protect them against discrimination. A situation about sometimes you may be have disadvantage as maybe because of resources and because of maybe educations. Someone because he felt that he has gone to school more than you and all that, he will begin to find a way what to bring you down. So judiciary is there to protect such individual. Then the second application is the application of the conciliation approach in the Nigeria context. We are looking at the various approaches in the context of Nigeria. We have looked at the judiciary. We are now looking at the conciliation. How does reconciliation or conciliatory approach in Nigeria context has been worked out in terms of conflict management? The conciliation approach is used to address family dispute. Yes, there are conflicts that come from family, including marital issues and intergenerational conflict. Of course, we have so many courts that are there in Nigeria that issues can be sometimes they even approach village head or traditional ruler, possibly be the senior family elders, try to address such issue by bringing the parties involved, letting them know that they have to move forward if they must achieve their target. Bringing them together into such kind of platform is very important. Family counselor, like I said, and therapists can maybe employ mediations and communication techniques to facilitate resolution. And that is the truth. Sometimes you see a wife and husband may not be talking to each other. I know of a story of recent when the wife and the husband they are not in talk. They are not talking. They are not even talking. The highest is your food is ready or your water is ready. And that's ends it. There was no communication between them. But until they have to meet a family counselor and therapist, what he does was to lock them in one room for a whole 24 hours. They have to talk because two of them they must go out. One say I cannot stay with this one. This one say I cannot stay with this one. But they go stuck for 24 hours. Nobody to open it. They find a way to say they can break the door. It didn't work. In that process, they begin to communicate. And that's sort it all. So that's one thing that reconciliation can actually do. It's not about going to court. It's not about you slapping the person. No, there are ways to that. You understand? That's why every family is very important. You need to have a family counselors. Sometimes a little misunderstanding, just like Was it on when I was with somebody discussing, and the person said that when they were discussing about every family, well, everybody was sharing the family experience, and the man said that the only problem that he have with his wife is nothing, is about what the wife and the children what is toothpaste. That instead of them to press it from the back, they used to press it for front. That was the only problem that causes conflict. And some people were laughing at the man, not knowing that that is a problem that is affecting that man. Until he arrived the doorstep of a family counselor, and the man now asked him, if they are pressing the toothpaste from the back, you too you should join them and be pressing it, and let peace what remain, because it's affecting him. Any day he goes before the toothpaste and want to brush his teeth, and he see the way they press it from the nyash, he will get angry. So the best way to do what is to call the party to invoke him. Sir, how many are they? He and his wife, they are two. The children are three. If you throw it to democracy, who will win? The wife and the children, they will defeat him, because he's the only one person. So for you to have conflicts in that kind of manner, you need to deploy a lot of reconciliatory mechanism. That's what I'm saying. In the legal context, mediation is applied to resolve civil dispute outside of the formal court system, and that's the truth. Sometimes you see the party that involve like a story of a man and the wife and the husband again. They call the wife, and the person who was to reconcile them now ask the woman that what he needs from her, that he's in support that yes, he should divorce the man, but she should go and write 99 reasons why the man is behaving the way he's behaving. And she should also write the contribution she has made to see that the family succeeds. Another day she was discovered that what she was done 99 reasons why the man is behaving. And what was her complaint? The man is coming home late. He's coming home late. And that's the issue. So, but the story have it that at the end of the day, the counselor of that family has to now encourage her that she should write those things, and she wrote it actually. When she wrote it, she discovered that those problems she was the real cause of them, and she was coached on what to do. Lord and behold, the husband now returned home. He returned and now saw that the woman, she was on small shot. This has never happened before. He welcomed him, received his bag, removed his shoe. He said, your water is ready. He said, maybe, this woman doesn't want us to divorce again. He said, madam, you must go. That tomorrow you must go. You know? But that very night, looking at what played out, the thing sent a very strong message to the husband. Then the husband has decided that he would travel. And of course, he actually traveled. The travel was to actually to know whether what this woman is doing is real or not. Then he has to call the lawyer to say, please postpone the matter to next week, Friday. It will no longer going to be tomorrow, Monday, but next week, Friday. This lesson learned from that story was that when Friday came, the man forgot that there was a divorce case in court. And he returned back home to settle. So what we are trying to say in essence, reconciliation is one of the very strong weapons that we must always approach in trying to apply the various conflict approach in the context of Nigeria. Yes, even the judiciary is also a very nice approach, but then it's not always advised, because sometimes it's not the person that carries the matter to court that wins the case. So there are matters that you have to follow, you have to use reconciliation approach to resolve them. Call the senior, if it's your husband or your wife, call this elder sister, or call anybody you know that your wife respects somewhat, or maybe the lady respect the person somewhat, or maybe the child. You find a way to resolve conflicts. So the conflict is very, very important. Thank you, and see you in your next class.